support the message. Yes, I got. I'm part of a group in Sweden creating a book on alternatives, and I just got one of the articles from a well-known Swedish planner, and she wrote, "I cannot anymore use any of the tools I used to have. So my only way is to use my imagination and write about what I think needed to happen." So she doesn't have any tool anymore. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
that's a tool.
But
so
to write this article, there's no. She says we need a totally new paradigm. It doesn't exist. So I wrote back to her, but we have been developing this. You're welcome to come and use it. But that's what we are going to see. That the planners they realize that they don't have the tools, and that the thinking doesn't work anymore, and they need something totally different now.
Our whole society in the 20th century has been built up around the automobile, right?
Yes.
I mean, take a city like Los Angeles. Now, what's going to happen in a city like that, which is so automobile dependent, when the price of oil goes up back to $200, maybe to $400? I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen because it's just a question of when it hits. And when it does hit, then that's when people are going to get real serious about retrofitting and changing, because it won't be feasible to drive 5 miles to the supermarket anymore.
Yes, I mean, it could be like the oil crisis, or it could be, an invented oil crisis, or it could be an earthquake or a tsunami, or like some people talk even about like a pole shift in the next few years.
It's that magnitude we're talking about,
and it's very serious things. But also facing all these potential or almost imminent disasters. I know that, for example, in Sri Lanka, just with the tsunami. I mean, like, yes, there was a catastrophe over there, but people were left homeless and like not a lot of food. But also, some people start implementing some of these ideas of eco-villages in Sri Lanka.
That was one of our group.
And then, can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I know that Max Lendecker, he's a very close friend of Vinaya Ariadne. So he was called in, and one of his co-workers, so they were part of designing, to use this occasion to design something new. And I was really happy to hear Vinaya talk yesterday at this conference where we are. Vinaya Ariadne from Sri Lanka, who is the leader of the Savodaya movement. He talked about how happy they had been about it, how successful it was to build a whole eco-village. Intentional. For the first time after the tsunami. And I think that this is the first model, and I think that's going to be replicated wherever we have this natural catastrophe. We give out the message how you can do it and rebuild in a much better way.
Yes.
And that's the first time I think it has happened. And I think that even Savodaya got a big prize, I don't remember which, but they got a big prize because they were first to help all the victims of the disaster. They were there immediately with their relief system.
They have a very well-organized network of 15,000 villages, and it's been in existence for 50 years. It's one of the most incredible projects anywhere in the developing countries. And they have created a model based on Buddhist principles that have solved the problem of keeping the people in the villages, creating jobs, and creating social networks that many other developing countries have not been able to do. So it's really a project worth looking at. Yeah.
So instead of every family entering the market, they develop the village, and then the village, when it's strong enough, they can enter the global market. That's a very different model, and it's been very difficult for them to get funding because most funding agencies do not understand that, because they're just totally blinded by the idea they need to be part of the global market and to compete. But I think that we need to promote and to get the understanding to aid agencies that this is a much better way for the local people.
For sure, and then probably the relationship between markets, between eco-villages in Sri Lanka or in Japan or in Brazil, that's another way of probably also doing like a new type of business interaction, exchanging goods based on all these principles of being like imbalance.
Yeah. Well, speaking of exchanging goods, I think another one of the phenomena which we will observe after the big crisis which is coming is we'll see we'll see many countries retracting into a protectionist mode. It's actually happening already today with this financial crisis, which is actually much lighter crisis than what we're going to have later. But so we'll have a protectionism which is not necessarily negative. I think there are many aspects of protectionism which are positive. For example, it will be protecting the environment, which the current system does not do at all, and protecting the things which local people, give a high priority. And one of the phenomena, as I was saying, we're going to see there is the phenomenon of local currencies. Because historically, when we've had major crises, we have spontaneously seen small local communities develop their own currency, local currencies, trade with each other. In this way, they can build up the community once more, and at the same time keep the wealth that they build up local, so it doesn't just get sucked away to the nearest financial center. And I think this is going to be one of the keys to rebuilding.
So a new economy too.
Absolutely.
So a new type of economy.
A new type of economy, yeah, where the sovereign nations are taking back control from the commercial companies.
Yes. Well, I don't know how this is going to be. I mean, because probably just this model, economic model based on fiat currencies and all these things, it's not viable. Probably, some communities are going to start using some other ways of doing business, probably based on gold. I don't know. I mean, it's up on the communities to decide, though. But I think this way of the local currencies, and it's fundamental.
It's very fundamental. Yeah.
In the next few years.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah. So you like stones, I guess. Is that a stone?
No, it's amber.
Amber?
Amber. It's like 40 million years old, and it's been lying on the bottom of the ocean, and when you rub it, it still smells.
Really?
Is that incredible that it can smell after so long time?
Yeah. It's amazing, though. I mean, I work a lot with crystals, and I usually carry my own stones with me and my herbs, and I mean, this technology is probably also, because this is a type of technology too. I mean, it's been forgotten.
Yeah.
That was used probably by the ancient Celts.
We call this the gold of the north.
The gold of the north. Yes, I mean the Chinese used to
I
do
think
that.
it keeps the heart warm.
For sure. Yes, I mean this kind of new technologies also probably we're going to start just using and seeing them in ecologists too, because I mean these settings are also part of a place where you could bring also new ideas and regain all this knowledge and yes, I mean and start practicing like all these ancient related truths.
I think we're going to see a completely new kind of technology evolve once we get to what I would call this post-bubble. Then I think we're going to find that the people are going to realize that we have to have costs and taxes put on non-renewable resources like oil, natural gas, and metals, and so on.
And trees. Trees.
Well, that's a separate one. That's renewable, but it'll also have to be handled similarly, but in a slightly different way. But my point here is that once you get these kinds of, like a CO2 emission taxes and taxes on other resources, once that is installed globally, then it's going to become much more optimal to begin to develop technologies which use much less energy and with much less waste. And so you will have what is being called the cradle-to-cradle kind of philosophy rather than cradle-to-grave. Instead of extraction, production, waste, you have a circular production. And we will start mimicking nature. We will start finding ways of producing the same materials, but instead of using high energy and high pressure and masses of energy, like nature, produce it at things at room temperature, make a much better use of the raw materials we have in the plant world, for example, than we're doing today. And that's going to be a really, really exciting period of a new paradigm, a new kind of research. And that way we'll be much more in touch with nature also.
Yes.
Yeah. So it won't be going backwards, it will be going forwards.
Exactly.
But we will also have a much more integrated concept of health, where the Western system